You are an undefeated fighter. You will be in the top 5. There are people talking real loud, would like to see you fight for a championship. Do you feel like you're the guy that should stand against the champion next time in the octagon?
I'm the next guy, without any doubt.
How did Ilia Topuria get a chance to fight for the UFC title after only 6 fights? Let's take a look at who this guy is, why he got a fight for the title, and what's the story behind his beef with Paddy the Baddy. We will also do a breakdown of his skills and how they match up against Volk. Stay tuned.
MMA Fighter Spot, man, that channel is fucking great.
In under a month, Topuria will try to take the featherweight from none other than the great Alexander Volkanovski. So how did he get here? Ilia Topuria was born in Germany, but has Georgian and Spanish roots. He got into martial arts at a young age, mainly wrestling. At 15 years old, while living in Spain, he asked his dad to skip school and start training MMA seriously. Thankfully, his dad agreed. Although his wrestling and grappling were top-notch, he really, and I mean really, liked to rely on his striking, which didn't go too bad to say the least. Soon, he got noticed and was given a chance to test his skills in the UFC. His first fight was on October 11th, 2020. Entering the UFC, Topuria made a splash. Although a short-notice replacement against Youssef Zalal, who was 10-2 at the time, Topuria managed to win the fight via unanimous decision. Not even 2 months later, Topuria had another fight scheduled against Damon Jackson. This time, however, Topuria didn't have to wait for the judges' scorecards. His third fight in the UFC would be his first real challenge. One of the most avoided fighters in the UFC, Ryan Hall, would step in front of him. Ryan was well known for looking like a nerd that could also pull your legs off after Imanari roll. He had quite a reputation. The question was, would Ilia's BJJ and wrestling be enough to deal with him? The answer? Ilia managed to avoid the constant Imanari rolls and caught Ryan in the last seconds of the first round with a few nice shots that put him to sleep. Almost a year later, Topuria once again acted as a replacement to fight Jai Herbert. Keep in mind that this fight was at lightweight, so not only was Topuria fighting a new opponent on short notice, but he was also fighting a larger, heavier-hitting opponent. Here, we got to witness both Topuria's chin and how he is able to fight on pure instinct. In the first round, Topuria took a kick to the chin, had his eyes roll back, and still managed to function on instinct well enough to KO Herbert 1 round later. Topuria even said that was the hardest he ever got hit.
That was the hardest punch I ever took in my experience inside the cage. Yeah, without any, I didn't see that kick coming, you know.
At the last UFC event of 2022, Topuria would have to face another grappling guru. Bryce Mitchell, or the Hillbilly Khabib, as some may know him, was on a 15-win streak. But during the pre-fight conference, Topuria wasn't all that concerned with him, but rather had his focus set on Paddy the Baddy. Paddy had previously posted a tweet saying how Georgians are stupid and practically deserve to die at the hands of the Russians. Topuria, a Georgian himself, of course, didn't take kindly to such remarks, and soon the two erupted into a shouting match at the conference.
You and you
live in Spain.
Try to do it
you
in
were
Spain,
born in Germany
and
you live in Spain. You're a little mongrel.
Shut up.
That's what you are. You're a little mongrel.
Shut up. If not, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna crash your face right here.
Do it then, you
Mash
little
your-
fart. You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing, you little fart. Go and sit back down. Sit back down, you little pussy. Puta.
Fucking pussy.
If you didn't understand why they hate each other so much, it's because of the event that happened in the hotel a few days before. The two crossed paths in the hotel lobby, where Ilia decided to deal with Paddy about his tweet. Ilia threw a bottle of water at Paddy, which Paddy gladly threw back. Ilia almost managed to catch Paddy with a punch, but wasn't close enough. Unfortunately. From that point on, fans would salivate at the chance that Topuria and Paddy met in the cage, since we all know how that one would end. Topuria by absolute murder. As for Bryce Mitchell, the grappling expert, Topuria got a hold of an arm triangle choke and won the fight via submission in the second round. So yeah, as you can see, Topuria's ground game is even better than his stand-up. The next fight was the reason why he became the title challenger. It was against a top 5 fighter who was much more experienced than his previous opponents, Josh Emmett. He is fast, strong, had good striking, and was 18-3 at the time. How did he fare against such a well-rounded opponent? Topuria dominated him into the ground. He decimated Emmett on all fronts, and one of the judges had a final score of 50-42 for Topuria. That score had only been scored 3 times prior in the whole UFC history. As you can see, Topuria won all of his 6 UFC fights in style. And that's why UFC gave him a chance to fight for the title. Although we think Topuria does stand a chance against Volk, what do other UFC fighters say about him?
Ilia Topuria to stay that sharp for 25 minutes.
Dude, his jab was crazy though.
Imagine him.
Defense, too.
I would love to see him. We were talking about it. Love to see him versus Yair, or love to see him against Volk. And everything he does, even on the ground, it's just like looks just textbook perfect.
This guy is, there's a premonition to be a world champ, you know?
I mean, just how good Topuria is truly being, I mean, this guy went from Mr. Water Bottle to Mr. Main Event.
So, let's try and break down what we think where Topuria could outdo Volk, and where he might not. What does Topuria have that Holloway, Ortega, Aldo, and others didn't? First of all, let's talk about his stand-up game. You've seen clips of him knocking people out. He is strong, but isn't only pure force. You can also see him roll with the punches, tactically take some damage, change angles and levels. As I said, he actually started out his career as a wrestler. Yep, a wrestler who practically mastered striking. Where have we seen that before? Oh yeah, but Topuria tends to get excited during a fight. He sees red and starts swinging before regaining some of his composure. Volk, on the other hand, has been through the ringer a few dozen times versus the best of the best. Basically, what we want to say is that he isn't better than Aldo or Max when it comes to striking, nor is he as good as Ortega at grappling, but we would argue that he is more well-rounded than all of them. He is also quite young. He is only 26 years old, and when you are that young, your chin can take a beating before it gives out. And folks, well, it has recently been chipped. Very recently. But what we have noticed is that he is getting better and better each and every fight. And we all know that most champions claim their UFC throne in their 30s. Topuria might be ahead on this one also. He also proved that he has the gas tank to go the full 5, as long as he doesn't get too excited. And there is one other advantage, if you want to call it that he has on Volk. In all his fights, except the Makhachev ones, he was the one who had the advantage in the strength department. But now, that advantage will be erased almost certainly. Will Topuria be able to show that he is the real deal, or will Volk show us another performance of the night? Tell us in the comments.